Guys. Call meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Legislator Hathaway.
I'm here.
Legislator Berkwood. Here. Legislator Mosier. Here. Legislator Gilbert.
Here.
Legislator Chartrand.
Here.
Legislator Morahan. Here. Legislator Leviker.
Here.
Legislator Osborne has been excused. Legislator Nellenbeck.
Here.
And Legislator Dahlhoff.
Here. Please stand for the invocation and pledge. And Legislator Gilbert, would you lead us in the invocation, please?
Yes. Heavenly Father, we once again give you thanks for the continued provision as individuals and as a community. I ask that you would bless us with wisdom and charitable hearts as we do our work on behalf of the people of Lewis County. Grant safety to our first responders and other employees who work so diligently to protect our community in the winter weather. I thank you most of all for the joy of the Christmas season. May the hope that is made known in the birth of Christ bring comfort to those whose hearts are forlorn. In his name I pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The minutes of the November 22nd board meeting have been distributed. If there are no amendments, they stand approved. Report of the Finance and Rules Committee for Rule 6, Cassandra, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Finance and Rules Committee has met and they recommend to waive rules to act upon late resolutions.
Need a motion? Lisa, second by Jessica. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Carries. I will open a public hearing now on local law number 7-2022, the amended local law providing for the administration and enforcement of the Uniform Fire Prevention and Building Codes. Is there anyone here that would like to speak on that local law? If not, we'll leave that open for 30 minutes in case someone shows up, and we'll move on to privilege of the floor. For this tonight, we have our new senator, our senator-elect, Mark Walsey, and Chief of Staff, Mike Schenk. Welcome. I don't know if you'd like to say a few words.
I'll be very brief, but just want to say that I'm honored to have the privilege to represent this county in the state senate. We'll work hard for you, and I've got a lot of friendly faces already in the room. If we haven't met already, it'll be my honor to get to know you and to represent your issues in Albany. We have a lot of work ahead of us, but the chairman's got my cell phone number. He'll keep me abreast. The county administrator as well. It's great to see you guys. I think this is the land of opportunity, obviously. You got some issues here in Lewis County, but anything on the state level that I can help out with, please view me and my resource, my office as a resource for you. We'll go to bat for you. So thanks for the opportunity, Mr. Chairman. I'm really just here to say hello and see your proceedings. I haven't had the pleasure of sitting through a board meeting of yours before. So thanks for the opportunity.
You're welcome, and thanks for coming. Privilege of the floor, Legislator Hathaway would like to say a few words.
Just a few, Ryan.
I got to read this because I want to make sure I get it right. I'd like to share with you something special that happened involving students at little old Harrisville Central School. It's regarding a trip they recently took to Cape Canaveral, Florida. Our students had proposed an experiment for a space shuttle flight that apparently intrigued Clarkson University, and Clarkson were helped them to develop their proposed experience for a trip to space. After review, the experiment was selected by the National Step 2 Review Board for the Student Spaceflight Experiments Program. Because of that, these students also received an invitation to present their findings at the Smithsonian National Air and Space Museum in Washington, D.C. They went to Cape Canaveral to see the astronauts prepare their experiment for the flight. The goal of the experiment is to see what impact microgravity has on the growth of algae by counting the number of algae cells after return to Earth. I'd like to thank the system that enables this type of creativity, but especially juniors Haley Mahar, Elaine Levanchi, and freshman Ethan Levanchi, and their teacher, Mrs. Taylor, for yet another reason that we can be North Country proud. Thanks.
Thanks, Phil. Under approval to the floor, I'd like to say that today is Jake Mosher's birthday. I don't know if you want to say a few words or not. Happy birthday.
36, Jake.
Anyone else like approval to the floor? We'll move on to presentation of petitions, communications, and notices. Simon, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, but I have nothing to report.
Reports of county officers and departments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Legislators received the highway and solid waste audit reports for the month of November and the treasurer's monthly report. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Reports of standing committees. Tom is not here. Phil, did you have anything that you want to bring up as vice chair?
I don't have a report, but I have a couple of motions.
Okay.
I'd like to move to authorize purchasing director Brian Hanno to create and send out an RFP for the annual online property tax auction for professional services.
Moved by Phil, second by Dick. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
I'm sure this will be unanimous. I move to cancel the December 2022 legislative committee meetings.
Moved by Phil,
Jeez,
second by Lisa. Councilor Brockman.
I guess so.
Any discussion?
We're gonna have an alternate day through that motion, Phil, or what?
No.
Okay.
Did you want to amend that, Dick?
We can have one for you if you want. Dick.
I'm not gonna be there that day.
All in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
That's it?
Moving on to Eden with general services.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have nothing to report.
Any questions for Eden? If not, we'll move on to Lisa, Health and Human Services.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I too have nothing to report.
Any questions for Lisa? If not, we'll move on to Dick, the board's rep on the hospital board managers.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I have a couple things I'd like to share with the group tonight. As you know, we're building a new operating wing at the hospital, and the Lewis County Hospital Foundation. Chairman, Executive Director Joanne Rubart is working on fundraising, and the theme is honoring the legacy, building the future capital campaign. We've received funding to date of $786,000, with another $800,000 of requests in the processing business. We've had some denials, about 375K requests to date. They've received campaign donation pledges from 3 members of the board of managers to date, totaling $45,000. She's going to reach out to the rest of us to see how we'd like to help out in the future as well. So, after the New Year's, probably get visited. The employee pledge campaign is going to begin next week, which would be starting next Monday. And it'll allow for 2-year pledges for employees to the capital campaign. They've had meetings with the employees and they all seem very supportive of the project. Sadly, we had a loss of $899 versus a budgeted gain of $645 for the month of October. Part of that loss was there was a second hospital health insurance holiday totaling $700,000 that the county had to, the county had to pay. They had to pay $700,000 to the hospital. 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 They had to pay $700,000 to the make differences because our fund got down to a certain level and we've had a couple or three major draws on that process. And we've been using that tool to manage that process. It seems to work pretty good. Salaries were fewer, employee benefits because the health holiday was higher. And purchase services, our traveling nurses runs us about 192K a month. We've got 18 to 19 travelers on any given day at the facility right now. And that's a systematic thing that's happening all over in healthcare, folks. Some areas that experienced positive results, our ER transfers were the lowest in 2022. Our South Louis Health Center, highest all-time volume. South Louis School, highest volume in 3 years. And we have some reappointments for the Board of Managers. Board President, Mr. Young, shared with the group that Mr. McDowell, Mrs. Steckley, and Mrs. Mastacuso have consented to serve another 5-year term on the board, and he has sent a letter to the chairman of the Board of Legislators. I've been assured that there will be a resolution at the 22nd. Now it may be a different date for us to approve those reappointments. And along with that, my term expires December 31st, 2022, so Larry will have a chance to reappoint at that time, and it should go for another year because we all run for re-election next year. So that is it for me. I've asked Jerry, hospital CEO, to give us a little update on the building project as we get into the winter season and some of the work is changing and being adjusted weather-wise and what have you. I thought it'd be a good thing before the holidays to just kind of bring us back to where we are on that. So Jerry,
This gets serious.
I'm pleased there were many no reports, so I've accumulated all of your comments.
He's gonna be here for a while.
Did we get him a nameplate?
I have to wait till next year. All right, well, thank you. Connor, would you be able to put that up on the screen, please? In a moment, so thank you, Connor, for your help. You will see a live feed of the project. And I will just refer to it very quickly. I think you'll be able to see, it'll look like a black and white photo at this point. So it's gotten a little darker since Connor and I were looking at it. So this is from the roof of the original structure. And the lights you see in the background, that's Mountain View. And the road that comes from the number 3 road to the state highway, it has really come together very nicely. Because I know where I'm looking, 75% of the retaining walls are in place now. So we have another 25% to go. And that would be, you see the big white dot towards the right side. Above that is the retaining wall that remains. What you're looking at now is the surgical pavilion. Closest to us in the center, near ground, is the stairwell, and near that will be the elevator. Today, the roof was put on the penthouse, and the penthouse is really a part of the structure that covers the mechanicals so that it's a more attractive space to look at. All of the steel is now up. All of the foundations and footings are complete. And I'll report in a few minutes that actually the roof will be complete by December 24th. The shell will go around the space so that we can begin the interior work. One of the engineers came up with the idea of tapping into the hospital steam system to heat the interior of the surgical pavilion. From a cost perspective, it's a significant savings. And towards the end of the month, we will be working on the inside. So it's really pretty exciting. What you can't see in the picture, and occurred last week, is a new
3,000 gallon external oxygen tank was installed. It's really quite a process. The codes and the safety requirements are pretty significant. That replaced the 1,500 gallon oxygen tank. And that was a change we made as a result of the pandemic. So pretty excited about that. The other significant change, which you can't see here, is each room has the capacity to be doubled up if needed, but is intended to be private. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. So if we could have gotten in a few minutes earlier, there would have been more to see. But I just wanted to give you a sense for the scope and magnitude with this live feed and extend an invitation to each of you at any time if you want to walk through. I do singles, doubles, and whole groups. And we have a path that we will walk, and it includes a rooftop visit. So thank you, Connor. You can now shut it down. Let me get to the meat of the report for you. I'd be remiss in not mentioning all of the people participating, and real impressed with the team today. The local hospital team is led by Frank Pace, Robert Fargo, and Pete Varney, and the maintenance crew. The owner's rep is CNS Construction Group, and on site is a fellow by the name of Mike Newfer. Interestingly, Mike is a Loudon graduate, and then Don Clark. BCA is our architectural and design group. Rick Tagg, Alex Cochrane, and Ariel Snyder. Our general contractor is the Black Horse Group out of Watertown, and on site is a fellow by the name of Howard Post and Georgie Hellum. And our primes are Sheehan for plumbing, Nitrek for electric, Barrett for site work, and Heightstone for mechanical. And so as I read those names, you can really pick up the North Country flavor to that. I think collectively this group has done very well. Every week I attend the general contracting meeting, and every other week we have an owners meeting. And that's not, when I say it's going very well, that doesn't mean we haven't had little hiccups along the way. It's an incredibly complex project. We are both building new construction and renovating and instead of renovating, I like to refer to it as revitalizing medical surgical, relocating ORs, and relocating the ICU. And while we're doing that, we're seeing patients. We had over 20 patients in the hospital today. So our patients have been very forgiving of the disruption that occurs when you build these and remodel these structures. So to date, we're 30% complete. We have expended $9.45 million of the $32 million. As I said, I think it's gone well. We are essentially on schedule. So you might say, well, what does essentially on schedule mean? Either you are or you aren't, right? So in the post-COVID supply chain era, essentially on schedule is a good thing. That we have had some impact due to supply chain, but because our project has 6 unique stages, as we've hit supply chain challenges, we've been able to move the stages. Now in the first third of the project, that works pretty well, but as we get deeper into the project, you have less flexibility. So when I say essentially on schedule, what that means for me is today, the schedule shows we will be complete by the end of December 2023. But because I'm working with this great team, I understand how the schedule will be adjusted. Right now, I would project February of 2024.
Oh, no, you're on record.
So I appreciate that. So what are the critical issues? So material lead time, electrical switches are 21 weeks behind. HVAC units are 16 weeks behind, and heat recovery units is 17 weeks behind. Well, that's part of the infrastructure to support the inpatient care areas. And so, you know, we have to navigate that, but I think they've done a great job. Roof installation is a key part for us to work this winter, and they started on Monday. The roof will be completed by the 24th of December. And then you'll see the building will be wrapped. When you're coming down State Road 26, you really get a pretty good feel for the magnitude of the project. Probably the single biggest weakness, both in design and budget, has been rock removal. That is the single line that has gone over budget. And so there was more rock than was anticipated. And you know, and so at the end of the day, if that is the area, I'm going to consider this a success. But the cost on that is, since I'm on the record, I don't want to misstate.
I got pen in hand.
Yes, I know. So we had projected a little less than $200,000 for rock removal. We're up to over 600,000. So that line will be over budget. I think when it's all said and done, $500,000. And the rock, frankly, the project went well with the footprint of the building and the inner part of the road. It's when you got to the outer part of the new road where the rock outcrop was just more than was anticipated. So that's probably the one shortfall in the project to date. We have a very active committee off the hospital board called the Capital Improvement Oversight Committee, led by Don Musnicki. And we generated these reports, which I brought two, so you could get a sense of what we're reporting to the board. And so we present that to the committee, and then it's presented to the full board on a monthly basis. And so, you know, the appropriate governance oversight is occurring.
Jerry's gonna leave one copy of that with Cassandra, so if you wanted to come in and take it up, take it and read the stuff at your leisure. And I've got a copy, which I didn't bring tonight, I'll bring to Cassandra as well. So we'll have a couple of copies with you.
So that is a high-level thumbnail sketch of the project, but if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to take them.
Great, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. Okay, we'll move on to report of the project manager, complete construction, Nick and Jim Marino.
I'd like to thank the board again for the opportunity to report. Things are going globally real well on the project. We are running a couple behind schedule of DSS. We've identified that early, working with the contractors, and I'm confident within the next few weeks we'll be right back on schedule. The important thing is to identify it now, let the contractors know, and we've told them and they're working hard to get us back on schedule. So a couple weeks at this time, at this stage of the project, does not concern me at all. We're also getting into the nuts and bolts of the job, the heavy coordination as we're doing the rough end, and other work up at DSS. Nicholas will expand on that, and obviously the topics and the things that we're dealing with. And thank the board for the opportunity to deal with these topics for you. We report to Ryan on a regular basis to keep him informed, and the different legislators that show up for the job also have a good pulse on what's going on. I'll have Nicholas give you some of the details of where we are in the job.
I'll start right up at the DSS. All the masonry is on the outside of the building. This week, they're starting windows on the Stowe Street side of the building there. Interior, framing is going up, drywall, taping, finishing is going on. Rough-ins for plumbing, mechanical. electrical are all ongoing. Plan is by the end of the month to hopefully start painting. Select bathrooms will be ready for ceramic tile. Hope is in the beginning of January to start ceilings and the progress at DSS is going very, very quick. And all the contractors are working very well together and moving in a pattern that helps the flow of the job get done much quicker. Over at the maintenance garage, same thing. In the interior, they've worked on rough-ins over there. Mechanical or electrical rough-in over there. Plumbing rough-ins are going to start soon as they're done over at DSS. Siding, hopefully, depending on weather, will be going up there shortly. They've got all the materials on site. As far as up at that campus, down the highway garage campus, the wash bay, same as the maintenance garage, some interior rough-ins and exterior siding should be going on. Overhead doors are scheduled to arrive shortly. Cold storage building, the Printer Mill building contractors have been erecting the cold storage building all month. They're hoping the next couple of weeks they'll be done. It's almost enclosed right now. It's just waiting on the overhead doors that are scheduled to arrive shortly. Over at the highway garage, foundations are all in. All the pier boxes are poured. Just waiting on the arrival of that building. I'll move over to the DMV site. DMV is foundations have been poured. They're supposed to pour the slab today, but Mother Nature didn't help us out, so they're waiting until it stops raining. Hopefully before the end of the week, they'll be pouring slabs over there. All the rough-ins in, undergrounds, plumbing, everything's over there. Parking lot is, all the stone is down, let it go through the winter time there. I think that's pretty much it. There's a lot going on, and everybody's working good together, and things are changing every day. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, Thank you.
Thanks, guys. So, we have the county manager report, with full support. Would you like to give us a county manager report?
That's how we're going.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I only have three things. First, at our December 22nd meeting, which is in a couple weeks, I would like us to take some time. Last year, we were really proactive and actually adopted a list of goals for each committee. So I'd like you guys to be thoughtful. We're obviously, staff is going to produce a list of goals for 2023. But if there's some things that you've had in mind, obviously a lot of our 2022 initiatives that we kicked off, part of our goals next year are going to be to follow through with those. But if there's some things that you guys, in particular would like us to accomplish, I'd ask you to be prepared to bring those on the 22nd. And we can discuss those so that we can walk in to January 2023 with a game plan. Second thing is, I'm sure Cassandra would want me to remind you guys and department heads that if you haven't RSVP'd for the reception after the 22nd meeting, let Cassandra know if you will be attending and if you're bringing a spouse or whatever. And then the third thing is just to echo what Jim and Nick have said. Our project really is coming together. It's kind of exciting. I got to sit in Jenny's new office for the first time earlier this week. The commissioner's office in the corner, it's got the drywall up and it looks good. So, and the siding's going up over at the cold storage building. It's exciting. So if anybody would like a tour of our construction site, please reach out to me or Nick and Jim, and we'd be happy to bring you around and show you, the progress that's being made. So that will end my report, unless there's questions.
The only comment I have is I think we need to move these two and separate them. We'll move on to county treasurer report, Eric, please.
Thank
Thank you. Just a few items to note. And actually, I'm going to start with a follow-up to Phil's motion on an RFP for our property tax auction. We have been with the current firm for many, many years, so they do a very good job. We just thought it was time to go see who else is out there and see if we could maybe get a little bit more competitive bid. So just a little information on that. In my written report, you will see sales tax receipts continue to remain very strong. We are 17% over where we were last year, at almost $15 million through middle of November. So that's continues to be good news. And the notes at the bottom of the report, I would just highlight just a little information on our New York State retirement system payment. We make those annually in December. The payment amount was down significantly this year, and that's just due to market conditions and the health of the controller's fund. So that also is good news. We do expect I don't know if we have the exact estimate, but I do expect it's going to go up again next year for the same reasons, market conditions, et cetera. And we should have that relatively accurately estimated for our budget for 2023. And I note a revision to our health plan fund balance policy. I've actually provided all of you a draft of that. The steering committee for our health plan will be looking to finalize that over the next few weeks. So if you take a look at that, if you have any questions, comments, please let me know, and we can address anything as we move forward to get that completed. Any questions? I'll do my best to answer.
Thanks, Eric. Back to the public hearing on local law number 7-2022, local law providing for the administration and enforcement of the Uniform Fire Prevention and Building Code. Anyone here would like to offer comment on that?
Mr. Chairman, if I can just be heard on that for a minute. I know a number of legislators had wondered whether or not this was mandatory, since we already had a local law providing for fire prevention and building code requirements. There was a mandatory amendment made and sent down to the codes department for us to adopt by the end of the year. So this is actually our local law from 2006 with a couple of provisions that just came down in 2022, basically on operating permits for certain kinds of activities and processes that may go on a property, which had not been there before. And also for the codes department to look at design criteria for snow load, things like that, which was also amended. But other than that, the law is basically the same. We cleaned up some typographical errors we found over the years and some language corrections, but other than that, that's the reason why we're amending the law.
Any questions? Comments? If not, we will close the public hearing on that local law and move on to report of the Finance and Rules Committee for Rule 7.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Finance and Rules Committee reports that they have examined the claims presented for payment in the total amount of $3,354,044.20 and recommend that they be audited and allowed for the amounts claimed.
Need a motion? Bill, second by Lisa. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Resolutions. We have to pull a few. Do you have a list?
Yes, we need to pull 279 out of the slate and number 280. And that's all I had.
Anyone like to pull any other legislators for the resolution for a separate vote? If not, motion to pass the majority of them as a slate. Lisa, second by Ian. Any discussion? All in favor of the slate? Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, resolution number 279-2022 is auditing and allowing claims in the amount of $3,354,044.20.
Moved by Phil, seconded by Dick. Any discussion?
I just want to point out, one of those checks was payable to me, and I had approved some of the other ones, so I have to abstain from that section of it.
Okay.
That pertains to the
As council.
indigent services as the administrator.
Okay, this is roll call.
Legislator Mosher,
Yes.
Legislator Chartrand,
Yes.
Legislator Gilbert,
Yes.
Legislator Hathaway,
Yes.
Legislator Leviker,
Yes.
Legislator Morahan,
Yes.
Legislator Nellenbach,
Yes.
Legislator Osborne has been excused, Legislator Verkler,
Yes.
and Legislator Dolhoff.
Yes.
Resolution number 280-2022 is a resolution adopting and otherwise treating local law number 7-2022.
Moved by Lisa, second by Josh. Discussion? This is roll call also.
Legislator Verkler,
Yes.
Legislator Gilbert,
Yes.
Legislator Morahan,
Yes.
Legislator Nellenbach,
Yes.
Legislator Hathaway,
Yes.
Legislator Mosher,
Yes.
Legislator Chartrand,
Yes.
Legislator Leviker,
Yes.
Legislator Osborne has been excused, and Legislator Dolhoff.
Yes. That's the end of the resolutions. Is there any other business? If not, our attorney has requested a attorney-client privilege session. So we'd
This
like
would
to,
be on bargaining negotiations and also some other litigation.
we'd like to make a motion for executive session. Lisa, second by Jessica. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We'll take a 5-minute break and then go into executive session.